Hello everyone, welcome back to the computational thinking course. In this video, we will study about the conditional selections by using Python programming language. So previously we already learned on how to use input, output and store informations by using Python code. In this particular video, we will learn on how to evaluate the conditions in a Python code that will help us in a decision-making process. By doing so, we might avoid the complexity in a Python program. There are three main structures that we can commonly find or use in a program that we develop with the Python code. So the first one is sequential, the second one is conditional selections, and the last one is loops. So sequential means that this set of codes will be executed sequentially from each line until the last line of the code. The second option is to use conditional selections. That means that several lines of code will be skipped if certain conditions are met. Or else we can use loops where the codes will be run or will be executed until certain conditions still met. Let's say until number of iterations have been done, then the loops of calculations will be stopped. So in this lecture, we will focus on the conditional selections and we will see what type of selections that are available in Python code. To begin with, let's start by asking a questions on how to evaluate the conditions in Python code. Condition selections in Python can be done through or by using the comparison operator that are available in Python. So there are several operators. The first one is more than, the second one is less than, the third one is equal to. So remember to type twice the equal sign. And we also have not equal to, and we have also more than or equal, or the last one is less than or equal. So on the next tables, in the next columns, we can see the examples of the statements by using the operator. So the first or the third column shows us the result or examples with a true value. So here we can see that 7 is actually bigger or more than 3, that 3 is less than 7, and 6 is equal to 6. And on the last column of the table, we can see that some false statement. So this operator, we can use it inside the Python code, for example, in conditional selections. There are three structure for conditional selections that we can use in Python. The first one is if, the second one is elif, and the last one is else. So elif is actually a combination between else and if. So on the next slide, we can see how we can use each or every one of this structure in Python. Now let's see the definitions or the common examples of if, elif, and else. So when we want to use if, it should be used when condition 1 is checked. Let's say when we said that 7 is bigger than 3, and then the value is true. And if we have the second statement, let's say 8 is bigger than 4, and then the second condition is also true. And the last statement will be false. Let's say if we write down that 4 is bigger than 8, and that is a false statement. To have a clear look at these three operators or conditions, we can see the examples inside Python code line in Google Colab on the next slide. We already see the introduction for if, elif, and else, and there is also a statement that else and elif is not mandatory in a code. so to say. So let's see the first example here where we need to input or store a value of two numbers. So we input the first number, and this is the code. Don't forget to use the integer operator. And the second line is to input the second number. So the condition selections is if the first number is bigger than second number, there will be an output with print operator that says first number is bigger than second number. And we can also use else to print that second number is bigger than first number. So else is the statement if the first number is not bigger than second number. So in this line of code, we see that there is only one comparison or is uh, being written in the code. So the else is to counter the argument in after if. So the example here, let's say that we write down 12 as the first number and 20 as the second number. So by natural, our functions is first number should be bigger than second number. But however, we write down that the second number is bigger than the first number. So the output will be a statement after else. So the second example here where we are not using else inside our code, you can see it clearly here that there is no else between these two print operators. So then we also input the same number when we run the code, and the thing is the second print will be count as if not meet the function here. So the function is still the same, that first number is bigger than second number. If we input the first number smaller than the second number, then it will print the second options of the output that we have in our program. So that's why on the previous slide, it is stated that it is not mandatory to write the else functions. And now let's see a more complex example where we use if, elif, and else at the same time. But we still have only two inputs. We have two inputs for first and second number. So the first conditions is if the first number is bigger than second number, we will have an output that print first number is bigger than second number. But the second conditions is when the first number is smaller than second number, and then we will have that second number is bigger than the first number printed. And the last conditions, if we have the first number and second number equal. So when we run and we type down that the first and second number are 3, and then it will say that 3 is equal to 3. And on the second example here, when we are not using else inside the code, so we skip it instead of like using else here, and it will also give the similar result with the previous code on the first examples. So it is not mandatory to use else inside our code then. This is an example when we have a conditional selections but for string or text. So on the previous two slides we've seen an example that use numbers or integer. So here we can also use if, elif, and else for conditional selections that contains only text. So for example, here we have status check, whether if you are an admin or a member, then we can write down like this, and then when we run and we type down students as status, and it will print the last options of the conditions where it's written that please enter a valid status. And what if there are two conditions or more than two conditions that need to be fulfilled? So we already seen the way to use if, elif, and else, and now we can use the new operator, that is and or, when we need more than two conditions to be fulfilled in our code or in our problem. Similar to that we already learned when we s- studied about the flowchart or pseudocode when we have and or operator. So and will only have a true value if both A and B are true. So if both A and B are true, then the next code will be executed. But if you use OR, we only need A or B that is true, and then the following codes will be executed. So on the next slide, we can see the examples of and comparison between and OR in a Python code. So for example, here we have a comparison between final test score and midterm test score. And we have two codes that use the first one using and, the second one is using or. So the first example shows us that if ORS and UTS are bigger than 70, then it will print you have passed the class, or else you have failed the class. And then if we put 75 and 60, the message will be you have failed the class because we need both UAS and UTS to be bigger than 70. But in the other operator that are using OR, if we type down the same number, that is 75 and 60, because it will be true if only one of these are, if one of these condition is met. So then the message will be you have passed the class because one of the value is bigger than 70. But on the first case, both value need to be bigger than 70 so that the message will be you have failed the class. So I will try to explain this exercise so that you can work on it. So we need to develop a total price calculator with a Python code in Google Collaborate. And you need to write a program to calculate the total cost that should be paid when a person purchases a furniture that include the furniture price and weight. So I think what you can do is you can ask an input that what is the price of the furniture and what is the weight of the furniture, and that is the initial cost. And then there will be tax that is based on the price of the furniture. So we have three conditions here. So if the price is bigger than 15 millions, the tax will be 10%. And if the price is bigger than 10 millions, the tax will be 7.5%. If the price is less than 10 millions, the tax will be 5%. And then there will be also shipping costs that will be paid by the customer. And then it is based on the weight of the furniture. So on the first line of your codes, you need to write down the price, the basic price, and the weight of the furniture. And then it will add the shipping cost into the total price that you need to pay at the end. And also there will be discount. Yet you will get 5% if the price is bigger than 20 millions and weight of 40 kilograms. And there will be also discount 3% if the price is 20 millions or the weight is 40 kilograms. So this is a combination of what we have learned in the last 2 weeks. So last week you already learned on how to write an input and output on the screen and how to store the data. And now we already learned with if, else, and elif, and also with and or. And then we need to combine all of the materials from the last 2 weeks to solve this exercise actually. So the last line said that all data, price, tax, shipping cost, and discount and result, that is the total cost, should be displayed or informed to the customer in sentences. So you need to print the entire lines that is contains price, tax, shipping cost, discount, and total cost in a sentence. Okay, so total cost will be the functions of price plus shipping cost minus the discount. So you need to write down the equations for total cost to solve this exercise.